Okay, you talked about Rudy.
Huh?
So Rudy.
Rudy.
So let's talk about where did you find Rudy?
Good friends from Hope Church. Gertrude and Bob Fairbanks came out to visit us in January 1968. They wanted to see our home. They had a doxy, but it wasn't a miniature. And they knew of a German lady, Mrs. Myers, on West Grand and West Outer Drive that raised them. She gave me her number and I called her. And she said, come out in February because I'll have a litter of 8 from two mothers. So we went out in February, an old barn we had to climb up, and there laid 8 little black, they looked like black rats. And she says, come back in April, they will have their shots and you can pick them out. So we went back in April. That was when Dr. King was murdered and they had the curfew. It was on a Saturday in April, a nice day. She put the 8 little puppies out in her side drive, gated, and she said Heidi, the one mother, was very, very affectionate. So she showed us which were Heidi's little 4 from each one. And she says, she drew our attention to Rudy because he had brown diamonds on his front 2 paws. And Robert and Tom picked Rudy. And they knew they were going to have Rudy because up at Crystal Lake, Mrs. Fay had a doxy and it was named Rudy and they were going to name them Rudy. So he was named Rudy Von Stacy after our subdivision, Stacy Manor.
Now, there was a time when we lost Rudy.
Oh yes, May 1968. Daddy was expecting a load of dirt. A load of dirt had come for the new shrubbery in front of the house, and he got up at 5 o'clock to go out and spread the dirt. And I get up at 6, and I don't see Rudy. And I said, Johnny, is Rudy out here? No. So we start looking for him in the house. Now it's like 7 o'clock. We can't find Rudy. I said, woke the boys up, get on your bike and go look for Rudy. He gets in the car and they're driving around. We can't, well, he's gone. He couldn't get down the basement because his legs were so little. In the meantime, my mom starts to make the beds. And you know how you take the bedspread out over the end? She picks up the bedspread and there's Rudy. We found Rudy.
Some of Rudy's tricks. Do you remember any of Rudy's tricks?
Rudy, he used to, if you had the front door open and the storm door, or even the screen, he would be sitting on his hind legs looking out. If he would hear a telephone or a doorbell on television, he would run to the front door. He was, the kids all liked Rudy. Oh, he would play basketball with his nose. He would take that basketball and go all over. If it would go in the street, he wouldn't go in the street. He would stand and look at it till you got it. Yeah, Rudy lived to 17 and a half years.
You've had many garage sales.
Oh, yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about your memories? What sold, what didn't sell, and what did you sell things for? How much?
Sometimes I said free. Oh, the one time I had an old Royal typewriter, and it was downstairs, and someone had to bring it up because it was so heavy. I said, it's not going downstairs anymore. So I had a sign on it, free. A teacher came along, what do you call it, that had shorthand typewriting and all that, a commercial teacher. And she says, I'm looking for that. And I said, fine, take it. I don't want it. But she says, I'm not taking it for free. I says, you're willing? She says, no, I'll take it only if you'll take $5. Okay, take it. Another time, a man came in, and he came from like Wixom or out that way. He says, do you have any old postcards? And Chris was with me, and I said, oh, Chris, stay here a minute. Aunt Dora had a box of them downstairs. I brought them up. He didn't even look through them. He says, here, I'll give you $15 for them. Another time I had a roller, and the Fishers were moving. And it was a big garage sale over the neighborhood. And I thought, this was my dad's roller. And I thought, we don't need this. I'm going to put it out. And I had a big sign, free. Well, 5 o'clock comes and the sales, everybody's kind of closing up. And I thought, oh God, now then I got to bring that back. A man comes along, he says, lady, I want to buy your roller. I says, no, you can have it, it's free. He says, only if you'll take $5. Take it. And everybody says, there goes Barb's roller down the street. She's got rid of it.
Okay, let's talk about some celebrations now. What memories do you have of your 25th wedding anniversary? Where was it?
Oh, gee, the 25th. It was out at the Fegley's.
Okay.
Who
who attended?
The Simons, Dorothy McHugh, the Capians, the Blokers, the Olivers.
Okay, what kind of gifts did?
They always gave you a crystal plate with silver on it, like with the 25th. I got one of those from the Aikens. The Aikens took us out also for dinner. I got one from the Aikens. We got one from the Aikens and one from our group. I have given one to Tom and one to Rob. Each one has my silver anniversary.
Okay, memories of your 40th wedding anniversary. Where was that at?
Oh, the 40th was at the Lions Club.
Okay.
Being that we didn't have, that would have been 1944, no.
80.
But Daddy had just come home from Ham's funeral,
Yeah.
so that was
You were married
in
in
84, yeah. And in January 44, we went over to our neighbors' sides to their daughter's wedding reception, and was at the Lions Club. And it was done so beautifully. Daddy says, we've got to have a celebration for our 40th. And then he said, we've got to do that. In the meantime, his brother dies in Hawaii. And before he left for the funeral, he said, please get in touch with the Lions Club to make arrangements. So I called them and they told me what to do, and to come. So after he came home, we went over and made the arrangements for the 40th anniversary.
So who attended that?
Oh my, there was all Scout people, former neighbors, all the Pinochle people, and church people. Pastor Bernlohr was there.
Okay, now there was another celebration for your 80th birthday.
Oh yes, that was a complete surprise.
Where was it at?
It was at church,
So tell us about that surprise.
I would always go on Friday to help Debbie Jones, I would work in the little counting room, and when I went in that morning, here is a bunch of papers about Pastor Barry's health. And I said, Debbie, these papers, they shouldn't be, why are they? Oh, she says, oh, she took them. Anyway, so that went on, and we were invited to Cindy and Paul's, they were expecting their first baby, and we were invited to the shower, and Barb and I picked out the gift and what have you, and that morning, Sunday afternoon or Sunday noon, I knew nothing. You picked me up, you said, oh, we've got to go home, something with your water tank broke and I've got to go home or something, but we're stopping at church for a minute, and I walk in the front door and Pastor Barry said, Barbara, what did you do with those papers about my health, about exams? And I said, well, I think we put them in your mailbox and they're not there. He said, well, maybe they're in the fellowship hall. And he opens the door and there's the surprise party. I almost fainted.
How many people?
Oh, there was close to 100 people. The bagpipers were there. Dr. Meach was there. I thought, thank goodness you're here, because I'm almost going to pass out.
So you've got some grandchildren now.
Yeah, got grandchildren.
Okay.
First one was Megan, and we were at the hospital waiting. That was going to be his first grandchild. And finally she was born, and he was excited. That first Christmas we went shopping. He says, I'm going to find her a dress. Well, I had already bought one, and very excited. Then Laura came, and he was happy for he got to go to the hospital and see her, but then his health started to go down, but he was able to be with the Christmas. I think he even dressed up once as Santa Claus. I got a picture of them with Santa Claus. Yeah.
And then you've got other grandchildren?
I got, then came Robert and Debbie were married in '89, and Courtney came while we were in Florida, and then Christopher came 2.5 years later, and I have thoroughly enjoyed all of them. Yeah.
And there's other and Mark?
Now Mark came along, and Daddy didn't get to know Mark, but that was yeah, very nice.
And you've got great-grandchildren?
Yeah, got 3 great-grandchildren, that's right.
And so, what memories do you have about babysitting your grandchildren?
Babysitting.
Such as baking, or playing rummy, or watching movies like Sound of Music?
I did babysitting for, I remember the first time we Megan was with us. You had gone to Canada or something, and she stayed overnight with us. I think it was February, and it was very interesting, yeah. Daddy, I mean, he didn't hear her moving, but between Robert and I, Robert would say, I hear her moving, you know. Anyway, probably I did more babysitting with Courtney and Chris than I did with Megan and Laura and Mark. But they remember, and even I took Megan, Laura, and Mark over to the Einstein playground. We would pack a lunch and go over there and sit under a tree and eat lunch, and they would play in the playground. The same with Chris and Courtney. They couldn't wait out to get out of the car. Grandma, we're going to the park. And we had great times over there, yeah.
Okay, scouting and memories of Troop 41 committee and your Pinochle Club.
Was Troop 41 with Parker?
Parker School.
Okay, that started, and I can't remember who the man was that came and interviewed Daddy for you to join the Scouts. It wasn't Gordon. Oh, I can't remember it. It seems to me he was. Well, anyway, he came and he said that Johnny would have to be into the committee, work with the Scouts, and of course he agreed to. So you started with Cub Scouts, and here's where we met Georgia and the Rowdens. Georgia, Vera and Ed Rowden, Georgia and Gilbert Rudin, Tom and Joyce Darnbrook, Donna and Jim Brown, and Mary Ellen and Jim Case. All had boys, and some of the girls were in the Girl Scouts. So then came the big move, and they decided we'd have a Pinochle Club, and that's who it started. The first Saturday of the month, except July and August. Yeah.
So continuing on with memories of Boy Scouts, can you tell us about Johnny and his involvement?
He became, I think he became
very
involved in the Scouts.
Attending Scout summer camps.
Summer camp. Coming out to Fraser, he then became involved with the Scouts out here, where we met Jim Turnus, and with that Scout troop, we met Sarah Cola and her son and Robert. Both Roberts went through Einstein, and Fraser graduated together, and Bobby Cola was Daddy's first Eagle Scout.
Okay, some memories of probably those folks either from Hope Church or from the Pinochle Club for your New Year's parties.
Oh, the New Year's parties with
those folks that would attend, and the games that you played.
Oh yeah, the New Year's Eve parties were with the Hope people, the Simons, the Olivers, the Blokers, the Capians, and Fegleys get together and played games. We had and then of course we all went up to Crystal Lake. That was great fun up there, yeah.
Okay, how about any memories of the trips you took with Johnny to foreign countries.
Foreign countries. We had
You
9
did
trips.
a lot of traveling.
9 trips to Europe. 1 to Japan, 1 to Bermuda, 1 to Hawaii. And the last trip was to Ireland, 1985. He was told to go into the hospital, and he said, "Nope, I've got tickets to go to Ireland." And we went to Ireland. He had a great time. Yeah. The first trip was 1940. I never flew before. Flew nonstop from Metro to
1980.
1940. Our first trip was to. That's when Dorothy.
1940.
Wait a minute.
No,
We moved in 67.
Okay.
67. 1970. 1970. 1970 was our first trip. Flying nonstop Metro to Amsterdam, Holland. And we were in Holland for 3 days, then we took the bus to Rotterdam and boarded the ship and was on the Rhine River 6 days, 7 nights or whatever. Ended up in Switzerland, went on to Lucerne, Switzerland, and from there we flew home. Yeah, first trip.
Well, we had